Hi everyone, thanks for watching Access Hockey MI. Just a quick shout out to our video last week. Riley Barber has gotten a point pretty much every game with the Grand Rapids
Giftins. They are a gift to us.
with the Grand Rapids Griffins. So go watch that video if you have not already, and watch him if you have not already.
Watch all of our videos if you haven't yet.
Please do it.
Just not the really early ones.
Oh, don't tell them about those. Today we're going to be talking about the USHL Muskegon Lumberjacks. They are a team that we love to cover and that we follow very closely. They are third overall currently out of 14 teams in their division. And, well, overall.
Yeah.
But third overall.
You get it.
You get what I'm saying. They understand.
If you don't Google it.
If you have not gathered from our videos yet, we really think it's important for you to watch junior hockey just because you're seeing them from the start of their career up until they're drafted, through their development, and we love to watch that just because it shows so much how they end up where they are in the NHL. You see, you can just tell the development is very important.
It's
in
a
the
live
USHL.
progression of development.
So if you haven't started watching junior hockey, please start watching junior hockey. That's what I'm going to start with. But yeah, we're going to talk about Muskegon today. We just interviewed the head coach, Mike Hamilton of the Muskegon Lumberjacks, and we're going to go over that.
Yes, and that interview is going to be posted on our website. There's a widget on the right-hand side that you just hit play, and you'll hear the whole interview. That'll be up probably tomorrow.
And that'll be his words, his voice.
Our voices. You'll love it. Everywhere you want to hear our voices.
Right.
So the USHL was one of the first leagues to come back to play, and they have been playing pretty much a full regular season, which is fantastic for them.
Yeah.
As a junior level league, they need all the development that they can get, and the fact that the USHL was
exposure.
able to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's very important exposure, like I said earlier, for the draft.
Yeah, and for collegiate level hockey, a lot of those kids get college commits out of the league.
Almost
and everything.
all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a high
Most
rate.
of them do, yeah. So they were among the first to come back, which of course had a lot of early frustrations with that, trying to navigate those waters, trying to figure out, okay, the new protocol, the new development, the new training, what are we allowed to do, what are we not allowed to do.
Right.
And in the interview you'll hear too, Coach Hamilton had stated how early on too, the team itself had a lot of frustrations to get over. They basically had to get over themselves because they would prepare for a game and then it'd get postponed and moved to another game. So
they'd be called about a player that couldn't play that was in the lineup, and they had to change it to another player. And that can be, I mean, you have a plan as a coach. You have a plan of what you want to do and how you want the game to go, of course.
How you approach that whole week of training.
Yeah, and you really had to you have to take your hands off of it this year because you can't control a lot of these factors, of course, with COVID-19 and all that going on. So it makes it really hard to plan anything in stone.
Yeah, exactly. And what we noticed too, and we wanted to really dive into, was the developmental impact that this all would have. And we don't want to just obsess over COVID-19. It's a thing, it was a thing, whatever, let's move on. But the impact of this event will impact their development permanently and how they've chosen to adapt to it. Muskegon in general, I think, has adapted really well. The team is different this year, and we'll go into that, but with our conversation with Coach and what we have seen, it seems like they have found their groove. They've really learned how to embrace the new environment, and a lot of the players, it doesn't seem like they've been stagnant in their physical and mental development. If anything, it's given them the opportunity to get more mentally tough, which they're going to need later on down the road.
Yeah, one thing that Coach Hamilton did mention is that so this is a very skilled team. It's not a huge team as far as big hitters. They're not afraid to take a hit or give a hit, but they're not going to do that initially. They're very skilled. They're good puck handlers. They're good skaters. So one thing that they all had to work on was coming out of the pandemic, coming out of, solo training. They had to get out of skill mode and get into game mode because it is different when you're in your own head, you're doing your own training, you're focusing on your own game, to forget what it is to play team, to forget what it is to train with your team.
You don't exactly have guys on hand just to body check you into a wall when you're working out by yourself.
I mean, if you do, that's super great.
But also, I have questions.
That was one thing that he said that I didn't think about as far as getting out of skill mode and into game mode, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into both those things, and to get out of the personal training that you were doing in your head or with your, trainer, to get into the team atmosphere and to get used to working with people again. That was one thing that he said was important for this team, at least, to do.
And that's something, too, I noticed prior to going into this interview, and we had gone to a game previously, and we just had quite the stretch of games there, but they are not as big and bulky as teams prior, in seasons prior. So Coach Hamilton has been with them. This is his third full season with Muskegon. And in that time, you've seen guys like Mark Del Gaizo. He's shorter, but he's a stocky kid. Anthony Del Gaizo, Igor Afanasyev. You've had, I'm drawing a blank.
Kondelik as well.
Kondelik, Alex Yakovenko. I mean, again, some of them are a little bit more lean, but they are tough boys. And like Igor, he's got the body of a man already, and the kid's 19 years old.
Yeah.
So you're coming from a team like that where it's highly physical and also very skilled to then now you got primarily skill and a little bit a leaner team. So adjusting to that kind of play, it's a whole different demographic.
Well, not only adjusting to that kind of play, but he was talking about how you have to coach a little differently as well. Yeah. So being able to morph your coaching into the team that you have and work together. He did mention that he's got, of course, Dylan Wendt, who is the captain right now and was voted by the team to be captain. As he's kind of a coach figure, is kind of what Hamilton was saying, is that he's got the attitude and the mind of a coach, and he's got the leadership ability, and he isn't afraid to get in the guy's face. He isn't afraid to come with concerns to Hamilton, which is very his face. Which is very important to have kind of a representative like that if you're on the team to go to the coach and I think that he creates a really nice atmosphere as far as I think anybody feels like anybody on the team can talk to coach.
It's a trust and respect atmosphere.
Right, and it's a give and take, and that's kind of how they work it, and I think that it's just been really great with this team, and I think being third overall, they're really competitive this year.
Yep.
They've done a lot of great things. I think their goaltending they're doing phenomenal this year. So I think those are also things that just with this new team has been something that have been adjusted.
And now with the USHL as a whole, and again, if you don't watch USHL games,
you have to.
You have to. And it is slower paced than other leagues, but the important thing is you're seeing guys who are 16 to 21, and that is at the very edge of the beginning of their career, and it's really important to see where they begin to see where they end up. Austin Matthews came out of the USHL, so there's obviously
Andrei Svechnikov.
There's a ton of players that are now in the NHL that have come out of this league, and so kind of moving forward, looking at what the draft has produced in the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's been record numbers of USHL players getting drafted. Moving into 2021-22, that draft and that season.
Well, and I think the USHL players have spoken for themselves being good enough to have been drafted so many in the last couple of seasons, the last couple of drafts. I think that they are bringing enough attention to themselves. Having been drafted, I think a lot of scouts and a lot of people are going, wait, what is this league that, I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people know about it, but they don't put a lot of weight in it.
They may not have invested as much time
until they start seeing oh my goodness, Team USA or, even the Lumberjacks have given a ton of talent to NHL teams, and they're working up to that. So when you see these guys who get drafted from the USHL, it's great to go back. So currently on our team, we've got a draftee of the San Jose Sharks. So that would be Daniil Gushin, who's in the top 10 scorers right now for the USHL. I
want to say he's 3rd or 4th.
So that's super cool. We just played the Green Bay Gamblers, who have 3 guys who've been drafted. One by Boston. Remind me of the other.
I believe Vancouver is one team that's grabbed a guy.
So it's just super cool to see these guys on the ice who have already been drafted, and that kind of puts your eye on them anyway to be like, oh, I see, I see the potential there. And that doesn't mean they're all going to go to the NHL.
Right.
That just means that they're on that track, and that's what they're working for.
It puts them in a really good position. And this whole, the whole point of interviewing coaches, not only we're pretty close to the team, he's an excellent coach. It's been really cool to kind of walk alongside the team with the last couple seasons. I think we've been there, 4 or 5 seasons now. But the USHL as a whole, we've had the opportunity to see it develop even over the last 3 or 4 seasons into something bigger than what it was when even we started. So the future of hockey is very exciting because the USHL, it's local. It's North American. They have their international drafts and imports and things like that. But it's really cool just to see the homegrown talent that is coming out of a league like that.
Wow.
It is elite, and it's really cool to see how it feeds the system.
Yeah, and to speak directly to Muskegon, the ownership and the everybody who goes in the back end of Muskegon cares so much for this team and so much for the city that I think goes into the team's success, because they care enough to put together a great hockey team for not only the city but to be competitive and to get grinding and to get, I just think it's great. And through all this hardship that they've had the last season, taking the hit for having games going without fans.
It's been a financial hit to everybody.
Right. So it's just been, we could just gush all day about the Lumberjacks and about the USHL. But basically, so we're going to have the full interview with Mike Hamilton.
It's only 13 minutes. So
it's pretty short. We're short, sweet, to the point. We had our questions. He's really great at answering.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that on our website, so make sure to check that out. She's going to write something great.
It'll be fun.
You're going to see some pictures. It'll be lovely. But yeah, that's kind of what we are thinking and what the team recap, I guess we could say, so far this season is. So,
I think we wanted to just separate some time and talk about
how
the
great
USHL.
They are.
It's really important.
It's just bring notice to it. It's just great. So let us know what you think in the comments. Maybe we sparked your interest to the USHL, or maybe that maybe you noticed the draft had been trending toward the USHL quite a bit. And let us know kind of what you think, and if there's any teams that you like or any players that you're watching right now that maybe aren't drafted but are draft eligible. Let us know in the comments, and we will see you next. Bye, guys.